genre.
Doctor's Companion presents Doctor Who The Long Way Round, the weekly podcast where we review and discuss every episode of Doctor Who, one doctor at a time. I'm Cass Fredrickson.
I'm Nick Jimenez.
And I'm Scott Corelli.
And today on the show, we'll be discussing the Spectre of Lanyon Moor, the Sixth Doctor's 13th story.
This was published by Big Finish Audio as part of its main range. Only the 9th release, in the history of Big Finish, which had a lot more releases than that at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, more than 9.
More than 9. This was released in June of 2000.
Wow.
It's 25 years old, this story. This is notable for being the first and only story in which the Sixth Doctor and the Brigadier have a little adventure together.
Yeah, they do. And they have pretty good chemistry, not to skip ahead.
Yeah, they do. They do. So this is written and directed by Nicholas Pegg, one of the main staples of like this era of Big Finish Doctor Who. And Evelyn Smythe returning as the Sixth Doctor's companion. This one is a little it's meant to be a little bit of a spooky kind of gothic spooky fairy tale kind of thing. I'm interested to hear what you guys thought of this one. Nick, how you liking Evelyn?
Oh, I love Evelyn. She's great. I got nothing against Evelyn. I think she's, again, a kind of a welcome reprieve from the standard impetual youngster companion. She, she's been around the block. She don't take no guff from nobody, mate. I just really like her chemistry with Colin Baker, who is also just the Doctor, just quintessential the Doctor in this.
Yeah, this one feels like just like a real like 7 out of 10 kind of Doctor Who story where you're like, this isn't anything special, but it's like right down the middle and it feels nice and cozy. And I'm just, whenever I listen to this one, I'm like, man, if all of Colin Baker's Doctor Who run had been as good as this, no one would have any complaints. He'd probably have like 7 seasons. But alas. Cass, what are your thoughts on the Spectre of Lanyon Moor?
Oh my God, this one was so boring.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I do really like Six and Evelyn, and I really liked some of the stuff with them. And I of course love the Brigadier. But I found this one to be really like color by numbers. Really predictable and not in an entertaining way. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Hard to disagree very strongly with any of that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I guess it just doesn't bother me that it's color by numbers, because you're totally right. Like I don't
Yeah.
There's nothing surprising in this other than like the revelation that the cold open was like 18,000 years ago. That one
was fun.
I was like, oh, yeah. That was wow. Okay.
That's a long time.
That's a pretty long time.
Yeah, I guess you would be pretty pissed, huh?
I guess, I don't know. I guess because the last time we covered a Big Finish audio, it was that crazy, really,
Oh, Scherzo?
yeah, like experimental one. And I'm honestly still thinking about it. So, like, in comparison, this one was just like, yeah, okay.
Yeah. I mean, fair. Yeah. Very bog standard.
Yeah. Hey.
Hey-oh.
Hey. Yeah, okay. So the plot of this, the Doctor and Evelyn show up. The Doctor's still getting over a cold, and they show up in like a pretty shitty place to get over a cold where it's like cold and foggy and wet, and and they're like, and I love that Evelyn doesn't take anything for granted in terms of like all of the things that we take for granted in Doctor Who, which is like things like the TARDIS just goes wherever it wants to go, and things like that. Evelyn will call out as like bullshit, he's just like, it's like, so what are we doing here? And he's like, I don't know. She's like, the hell do you mean you don't know? Don't we have a reason for being here? And he's like, probably. I don't know.
We'll
find out. Yeah, they just sort of like wander around. There's that bit where the lady, they run into the lady, and she's like, oh yeah, you must be here to see the what is it?
Fubu.
The Fubu. Yeah, and he's like, oh yeah, definitely. And Evelyn's like, what?
We love
she doesn't know how to like roll with stuff.
Yeah.
We're here to do the what? Yeah, so they just like, they go and they check out this thing that was built. And they're like, wow, this is amazing. And then meanwhile, there's like these scientists that are like kind of like being led by the Brigadier. They're like kind of unit adjacent, I guess, scientists. And there's like a pair of archaeologists. There's like a young one and an older one, and the young one's like using tech, and the old one is just like, fuck your tech. Use a shovel. Piece of shit.
A shovel is and never has been considered technology.
Right. Yes. So basically there's like an electric disturbance of some kind, and the Doctor's like, oh, we should investigate that. The Brigadier runs into him. He's like, oh, well, I can tell by your vibe, you're the Doctor. I bet there's a police box around here. And he's like, you're always so good, Brigadier. Yay. And they're like, yay, best friends. And they high five. I make out a little. And then and it just becomes this so right at the very, very beginning, we have like these two members of this species, Trigonin, and this guy Sincreta, and then his brother Shryfan. Shryfan is like, hey, you got to get back on the ship, and Sincreta is like, hey, I'm injured, so I can't. And Shryfan's like, okay, well, I'm gonna leave. and just leaves, and he's like, he curses him and vows revenge.
Because he's being attacked by something. Something's like,
yeah, he's being attacked by something, and then he's like, okay. So then, now we're in the present, which apparently this takes place. There's like a weird like canon discrepancy, because supposedly this takes place in the year 2000. But it also takes place before Battlefield, which takes place in 97. So, yeah,
weird.
So there's a little bit of a canon discrepancy there.
Oh, because the Briggs retired in this. He's like recently retired.
Right. Or not quite retired or something. About to retire or something like that.
He's doing
contract. Then he's fully
work.
Retired in Battlefield. Yeah. So Evelyn is they're like at this manor in this village, and Evelyn like goes for a walk, and she runs into this lady, this young woman named Nikki, and they hear this like electric crackling, and then there's like cackling, like little imp cackling starts running toward them, and then she like gets eaten alive. But Evelyn has like a rock that she's holding that like scares the imp thing away. But poor Nikki, who had like all these plans, is not going to be able to have any of them because she gets half eaten by a little goblin thing.
Yeah, it's surprisingly violent.
Yes, she's not the only one who gets like half eaten by things. Yeah. Yeah,
and it's
so
kind
Nikki's
of it's Evelyn's kind of first exposure, because I guess the one where she was like a relative to like the King's Court or whatever was kind of chill for a Doctor Who episode. I don't remember if that one had a body count. So this is kind of her introduction to kind of the more violent aspects of being a Doctor companion, which is like, yeah, like, you know, people get red-shirted, and like sometimes fresh-faced gap year university students get like eaten by goblins. You just have to like just drink some hot chocolate about it.
Yeah, shit happens. Welcome to the TARDIS. Yeah, and so this whole thing is like talking about like folklore, like Celtic folklore, and like fairies and all that stuff. So there's like this idea that you know, like maybe it's fairies, and the Brigadier's like hogwash, and the Doctor's like, I mean, probably, but you know,
fiddle faddle and rot, Doctor.
Yeah. Yeah, and so then I don't know, there's a guy who like kidnaps Evelyn because she seems to know too much about stuff. And then he's like, I'm going to fry out your eyes. And she's like, that's really violent and fucked up. And he's like, yeah, it is. And then, but meanwhile, the Doctor is like making like a thing that's going to like track this weird energy that they're
psionic energy, Scott.
Yes. Psionic energy. He's like, I gotta track this thing. So he turns on this machine, and then it like, I guess it breaks that dude's like eye frying machine, and so then he just has to like throw Evelyn in the cellar, and Evelyn escapes because there's like a stained glass window that's like really pretty, and she's like, well, this sucks that I have to do this, but you know, it's better than being locked in this room. So she smashes the stained glass and tries to escape, immediately gets caught, gets put in another room. Just typical classic Who shit.
Yeah.
And one thing leads to another, and we basically find out that the guy that wanted to like fry her eyes is actually the alien from the beginning, and he's got like a thing that like disguises himself as a human.
No.
Right?
Okay. No. So eye frying guy and alien guy are two separate forces.
Oh.
An alien guy is mad at the eye frying guy because eye frying guy has been like hijacking his psychic bullshit.
Oh.
So then he ends up getting murdered by the alien.
Oh. Okay.
He assumes the form of the older professor who's killed off camera.
Professor. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Shovel.
I feel like Big Finish wasn't as good at casting people that sound remarkably dissimilar to each other.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. At this point. And so I was getting a little lost on the weeds there. It's really hard to learn characters' names that you're being introduced to in a single Big Finish story without any like visuals to go along with it, because I can be like, oh yeah, the guy with the mustache. Well, I don't know who has mustaches. All I know is that the Brigadier doesn't have a mustache in this.
Or subtitles, which I often use with Classic Who.
Oh yeah. True. Very true. So anyway, he's pissed for being abandoned by his brother, and the Doctor's like, yeah, so he didn't abandon you. He like died, and he's been dead this whole time. And he's like, oh, well, I can't get revenge on my brother for abandoning me, so I guess I'll get revenge on Earth. And the Doctor's like,
for
cool,
sucking.
Good luck with that. And then he tries, and they like reverse polarity of the thing.
Well,
and then
the brig is like, the brig is like, oh, you have no idea how much I'm your Huckleberry right now. Like, he's fully prepared to like die and go down with the ship, but then he brigs his way out of it, and the brig ends up saving the day.
Right, because Brigadier's like, the last thing I want to do is retire. I want to go out in a blaze of glory. This is it, baby.
He wants to go out. Like,
was not it. Yeah.
No, he does end up kind of, dying a very quiet, normal death at a retirement home.
In a retirement home. Which is like the worst way for the Brigadier to go out, I think.
We don't know. Maybe he had like a Bubba Hotep adventure at that retirement home.
We can only hope. I can only hope.
And even the doctor doesn't know about it.
It's true. It's very true. Yeah, and then they go to a pub. They're going to go to a pub, and they're like, "Yeah, what are you going to order?" And the Brigadier's like, "Soup. I'm a soup man."
He sure is.
And Evelyn's just like, "You look like a soup man."
I skip to the end. So it ends with them like, let's all go order a big English breakfast. It's been a big adventure. And it's the three of them kind of fading on walking. And I'm like, I'm really getting like all three of them hooked up vibes.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Okay. So one of the things that made me laugh, I had to pause. Because the Brigadier like name drops his wife in this. And then Six is immediately like, your wife?
Yeah.
Like, and the way that he says it, I'm just like, uh-oh.
Trouble in paradise. Brigadier's like, well, you haven't been around for a while.
So funny.
It's great. There's this other
I noticed that you got a wife at the same time that you shaved your mustache. Coincidence?
Not. There's this one really great part where the older professor is like getting flustered at the doctor being, like a pompous jerk. And but then the doctor comes back and at Evelyn's behest is like, hey, I'm sorry, I was being a dick. Like, we could really use you on this one. Like, good luck out there. And the scientist is like, he sure is infuriating. And the Brigadier is like, he really is.
Yep.
Yeah.
I did like that scene with Evelyn too, where she's just like, hey, like this guy is like, he's not stupid. He's just out of his depth. Like, maybe we can cut him some slack. And Six is like, yeah, okay, fine. And then he actually listens to her, which is really nice.
Yeah.
I don't know, character growth.
Yeah.
Yeah. It speaks to Six kind of thawing out and not being like, the pompous house cat that we kind of compared him to a lot during his televised run. And also his kind of Evelyn's ability to effortlessly kind of pierce through the doctor's ego and kind of appeal to his more logical nature and kind of showing like, no, like it doesn't make any sense to antagonize this guy. So like, why would you?
Mm-hmm. He's Six is just so much more, like so much nicer in this story, I think, than what we're used to seeing from him. And I think that's typically how he is going forward. And it just feels so nice for him to have such like a different energy. He goes from, pompous house cat that will not be touched by anyone but his owner. And even then, only when he's in the mood. Yeah.
Yeah.
To like a house, like a lazy house cat that's just like, yeah, you can pet me, whatever. That's cool.
I wonder how much it has to do with just Colin Baker's voice. It's got this really lovely texture now in the 2000s. It's kind of less whiny than, I'm sure he was intentional, because that was kind of the MO of that Doctor's run at the beginning, but
yeah. Yeah. No, it's very true. So anyway, that's sometimes with these Big Finish audios, it's like, what is there to say really? We are going into some much more plotty style Big Finishes coming up. I mean, the 8th Doctor one this season obviously going to be much more plotty, but on the next round of Long Way Around, our 6th and 7th Doctors are like all timers, like really like solid stuff that sets up a lot of a lot of like ongoing plot threads for those two characters. So in the Big Finish verse. So this is kind of like our one last, like, I almost didn't add this to our list. I almost skipped it, but I was like, but it's the one time the Brigadier and the Sixth
the Brigadier's
Doctor.
in it.
Yeah. I was like, we got to do this one. So
I did also find it funny that we're now 2 for 2 with Evelyn, just like hanging out with and befriending like a younger man, and they go have an adventure together. And like,
Oh yeah. I was sad when he
Good
turned
for
out.
her.
I was sad when he turned out to be a villain, which that did get me. That was like a twist. I'm like, oh, I didn't see that coming. Good. Like, I was also kind of getting like May December vibes from those two. Of like, he was kind of like flirting with her a little bit, and she was kind of into it.
Yeah. No, there was that moment where he was like, God, you're the exact kind of broad that's going to get me into trouble. The kind of broad my mom warned me about. And she was like, I'm
She's
old
just like,
enough to
"What?"
be your mother.
yeah.
Big idea of you vibes.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
I wanted to ask both of you about so kind of like the through line of this episode is the humans being sort of really like scoffing at the idea of this being goblins and the supernatural and like Celtic folklore, and the Doctor like encouraging everyone to like, keep your mind open. Like, you humans, you reach a certain age and you stop accepting new ideas, and maybe it is goblins. And it was like, oh well, now we actually have goblins in the show.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I guess it's like, how has the Doctor had a consistent opinion on mythical fairy tale stuff, or do you think it varies Doctor to Doctor? Because I feel like 12 was more like tisk tisk, fairies aren't real, science rules.
Mm-hmm. I think it varies.
Yeah,
I would say.
I think so too.
Yeah, some of them like to have a little fun with it, and then others are like, there's a more logical explanation. Yeah, they're aliens, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always aliens. Yeah. I mean, obviously we have the Christmas goblins now, but like they only exist because of, the mavity of it all or whatever. So
We actually still haven't gotten to the bottom of that yet, have we?
we sure haven't.
Nope.
I feel like
Okay.
it's going to be like the main sort of like thread of the RTD2 era. So,
You hope.
yeah. He wished really hard, and now all the fictional things are real. Yeah.
Because
So,
what was manifesting? It was the psionic energy was manifesting the imps.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I guess the alien just looks like a goblin.
Yeah. He's impy.
Yeah, he's like 3 feet tall.
Yeah.
He's big mad.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did anyone kick him in this? Somebody should have kicked him.
I agree.
Yeah, it'd be funny if Evelyn had just like, like kicked. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shit.
Just like smacked him with her purse or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
That would have been awesome.
Oh yeah. He also there's that lady at the beginning, the lady that like tells them to go to the
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, you must be here for the FUBU. She's got like a bunch of dogs, and the guy makes the dogs eat her. Which was the other like really like disturbing, violent thing that happened in this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she is also revealed to be a baddie. She is also under the employ or at the behest of this goblin king, if you will.
Right.
And
Go
we
off,
kind of
King.
go off, king. We mentioned how like Evelyn does kind of go through the companion ringer of like getting damseled and put in different locations throughout the whole episode, but it is like I think she has like a kind of fun, well-to-do sort of like, oh, I'm being damseled, isn't that interesting? Kind of like
Yeah.
tone to it that makes it a little more fun.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. I think because she has this sort of like I've been around the bush. I've seen a few things. I'm ready to see some new stuff. And so like even if new stuff is being damseled, she's like, oh, that's interesting. This has never happened to me before.
I read about this once.
Yeah.
How do I get out of here?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. So I guess I don't know. I guess that's it. Kind of light and frothy, this one.
Oh, I liked they have to go to Greece at some point because that's where the lady with the corgis, like she sneaks off to Greece to steal something from a museum. And so the doctor and Brig have to go to Greece, but since Brig is retired now or soft retired, he doesn't have like the authority he did. So the doctor's like, "We were stuck in customs for like 5 hours. This is bullshit." Brig's like, "Yes."
Well, sorry. It's because you saved off that damn mustache.
If you had your mustache, this wouldn't have happened.
Stop referring to my wife as a beard.
Her name is Sheila, Doctor. Do we is that canon? Do we know like the Brig's wife's name?
Doris.
Doris. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
And that's Kate's mom.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Kate Stewart.
Yeah. Brigadier Jr.
Brigadier Brig Jr.
Yeah, so there we have it. That is the Spectre of Lanyon Moor. Hope you guys had a good time with it. Next week we are talking about the Fearmonger, our first 7th Doctor Big Finish audio.
Oh wow.
Which, unlike the 6th Doctor Big Finish stuff, which sort of like kind of just is almost like a soft reboot of the 6th Doctor era, you know?
Mm-hmm.
The 7th Doctor era continues right where we left off with Ace and the Doctor back at it, back on another adventure.
Great.
So this one, it's got a slightly different vibe. It's got much more of like a hit the ground running kind of vibe, as opposed to like fresh pilot season kind of vibe, like the beginning of the 6th Doctor stuff. So, the Fearmonger, and it's a short one, only an hour 40.
Oh yeah,
the Fearmonger. Yeah,
Yeah, this one was way too long.
Way too long. I will absolutely agree with that. This was way too long.
Over 2 hours.
Way too long. Yeah, over two. That's a nightmare.
That's a Marvel movie.
Yeah, yeah. This was not a Marvel movie.
No.
So I'll definitely give you that. It should have been 90 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, the Fearmonger next week, available on Spotify. If you want to follow along, and then we'll have another Big Finish audio with the 8th Doctor. And that one should be a pretty meaty episode, considering everything that we're going to be talking about in that one. But more on that soon. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for listening, everybody. And we'll talk to you next week with the Fearmonger. Bye-bye.
Bye.